You're up.
Hello and welcome to Electric Football. This will be week 14. It's Tuesday, and boy, am I tired. And I don't know where Steve went.
Well, Steve went to get you a little present. That
Oh.
might raise your spirits a bit.
Oh, two Stewart from Miami. Oh, that's right. Ha ha! We beat the Jets at home, and I was there. Ha ha ha! Steve Brown, Electric Football.
All right, so much for our acting skills and our set and other such amenities. And let's just move right to the football.
Here we go.
Thursday night, Cowboys versus Bears. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike it what is weak. So I believe the Bears will understand this concept, and they will avoid DeMarco Murray beating them by stacking the box and by forcing the Cowboys to throw. And I believe they will strike at a weak Cowboys secondary. I'm taking the Bears.
Neither team fared very well on Thanksgiving
Day,
and now it's another Thursday. So interestingly, two teams that played on a Thursday are playing again on a Thursday. Romo became the old Romo that we all know and love and fell in love with years ago. And the Cowboys have the better team here, but they aren't playing well. And it's going to be 33 degrees on Thursday night in Chicago. And I'm taking the home team who have won the last three in a row from the Cowboys. Bears win.
Look at Stu with the weather report.
Oh, this just in.
Steelers versus the Bengals. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. And amidst the chaos of the pocket, Ben Roethlisberger tends to find that opportunity, while Andy Dalton wilts under the pressure. So I like the Steelers in this. The division is a mess. The Steelers did not do well, but the Bengals' win was really unimpressive last week.
Absolutely.
So give me the Steelers.
Yeah, they split the series the last 2 years, and they play twice in the next 4 weeks. So this is going to be interesting. Roethlisberger is by far the better quarterback than Ginger. And the Bengals are beating weak teams, and I think Pittsburgh has enough with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Bryant to beat the Bengals, even though the Bengals are home.
Antonio
Bryant, Antonio Marstaccio.
Antonio Bryant was a Cowboy, wasn't he?
Who cares?
Rams versus the Redskins. And one may know how to conquer without being able to do it, which pretty much sums up Jay Gruden's life right now. The Redskins have fallen apart with the quarterback controversies, and McCoy actually looked decent. The Rams had a killer schedule, so they didn't look very good. Then they got a breather against the Raiders and put up 52 to nothing on them. I believe this is also a breather against the Redskins team, a Washington team that, I said it a couple of times.
Yeah, it's the Redskins, folks.
Against the Washington team that is in turmoil and directionless at this point. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I love what the Rams are doing this year. And imagine if they had an actual quarterback, how much better they'd be. RG3 is done in Presidentville, and the opportunistic Ram D is just enough to thwart this Indian uprising.
Which does raise an interesting question. What team is going to go after RG3 right
Nobody.
now? What kind of team? You really think a guy that went from Rookie of the Year is now just done?
I do. Look at him. He's injured, often injured. Looks horrible when he's out there. Now, if that's a coaching issue, you'd be hard pressed to figure that out. But I don't think he's that much of a talent.
All right. So for the comments section, would you want him on your team? Would you want him as a potential starter? Would you want him as a backup? Let's hear your RG3 thoughts.
There we go.
Anyway, thinking of thoughts, Giants versus the Titans, and I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but by how high he bounces when he hits the bottom. And Tom Coughlin better bounce, because they hit the rock bottom against the Jaguars, jumping out to a big lead and then losing to the Jaguars. The Titans aren't showing much either, but I'll take the Titans based on home field and less downward spiraling momentum.
Yeah.
So I think this is the end for Coughlin. I hope Giants fans remember all that he has brought to them.
I would have taken him all those years with Super Bowls.
Oh yeah, there are plenty of Viking coaches that I would have pushed in front of a train to get to Tom Coughlin. So my pick, the Titans. just the end of a really bad season for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the Big East lost to the Jags last week and on the road, and now they go on the road to face the Tuxedos, who have no right beating Eli Manning here. I'm sorry. It's a pick 'em in a line, which is telling, but I think ODB has a monster day versus Tennessee, and I'm picking the Giants here.
All right. Panthers versus the Saints. And it is the spirit of men who follow and of the man who leads that gains victory. Meaning leadership is crucial in football, and Drew Brees has the edge in leadership in this game. They also have home field advantage and playoff motivation. And if you want to score against the Panthers, all you evidently have to do is hold them to fourth down and then block their punts. Because that's how the Vikings went about ruining their draft position. So give me the Saints based on Breeze's leadership and based on the win in Pittsburgh, which keeps them right in the muddled hunt in their division.
Screw the Saints, I'm taking the Panthers.
All right. Jets versus Vikings. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. The Jets players have followed Rex into the deepest valley where they are being slaughtered by archers up on the high mountains. In war, you want the high ground. Anyway, your team beat them last week in a rather unimpressive fashion. My team is going to beat them this week at home. Give me the Vikes.
Ryan puts in Smith to see if he's a quarterback of the future and then barely calls a pass play against Miami. He threw, 8 passes?
But said today that it wasn't a lack of confidence in Geno.
Not at all. He didn't even come out with the team. I think he came out in a wrapper. The Vikings, meanwhile, have a quarterback I believe in. And after Ryan's I can't win a big game speech here, I don't think the Jets players are going to play hard for him anymore. I think they did up to a point, but I think last night broke them, and I'm taking the Vikings.
One of the interesting things they did was they showed various Rex Ryan press conferences, and it was fascinating. The fatter he was, the more he won. That lap band surgery may have finished off his career.
They excised the wins.
Evidently, and the sense of humor. Anyway, Rams versus Stu's Dolphins. Why don't you go ahead and lead this one?
First of all, shout out to the Dolphins, New York City. They had like 3 sections there. You couldn't hear a Jet fan. You could hear Miami fans. We packed the joint last night. Way to go, guys. Blackbirds have won the last 4 meetings and will follow the blueprint that Denver and the Jets used, which is run against Miami's defense. All of a sudden, it's withering against the run. I don't understand it. However, Baltimore hasn't beaten any winning teams, and the Dolphins have kept pace with the likes of Green Bay, Denver, and Detroit. I like Miami to get the playoff edge here in a tight game in near summer-like conditions, 80 degrees in Miami on Sunday. Taking the Dolphins.
Stu with the weather chart. He's going to show the flow of the...
I'm Storm Field.
There we go. The expert in battle moves the enemy and is not moved by him. And I believe that, exactly like you said, the Ravens saw ground and pound worked by the Jets, and the Ravens are great right now at ground and pound.
Yep.
So I don't see a way that they don't just run over the Dolphins in this one. Plus, a lot of people think they got screwed last week against the Chargers. I personally don't. I didn't think it was, I thought it was a good pass interference call.
I didn't see it.
But I think an angry Ravens team with a clear blueprint that plays to their strength beats the Dolphins.
I was at a bar where they were showing 3 out of the 10 TVs were Giants games. Christ's sakes.
We do live in New Jersey, folks.
Oh, God.
Colts versus Browns, and the backbone of surprise is fusing speed with secrecy.
Well, don't tell them.
It's Tuesday night, and we do not know who the Browns quarterback is going to be. Manziel is in there, and man, he does look fast. I got to tell you, on that little touchdown run, did the little money thing. I was pulling Hoyer in this, but I can see where you would make the switch right now because they really have plateaued, and they do seem to need a spark. I don't think it's going to matter who he fuses speed and secrecy with because I think the Colts fuse speed and talent in Andrew Luck, and I think they kick the snot out of the reeling Browns.
Yeah, Johnny Football makes one play, and all of a sudden, that's all they're talking about on NFL.com again. Come on. There's 32 teams. The guys are back up till Sunday. Colts' schedule's been a cakewalk this year, and I like the Browns in an upset if Hoyer plays. If Manziel plays, I like Indy.
Hedging his bets, folks. Bucs versus Lions. In a man-to-man fight, the winner is he who has one more round in his magazine. And Matthew Stafford has more rounds in his magazine than the Bucs do. It's just that simple, including a big giant howitzer shell named Megatron. The Lions showed what they can do on Thanksgiving, and they have home field advantage, playoff motivation. No reason to think that the Bucs are going to come through. They do have a fairly big bullet in Mike Evans right now, who's showing that maybe he was a big reason why Manziel looked so good in college. But give me the Lions fairly easily in this one.
Yeah, Lions put down beat down on Chicago, and Tampa doesn't have the weapons Chicago has. So this is one of the easier games this season for the Kings of the Forest. And though I'm rooting for an upset, I don't have the courage to take Tampa here. I'm taking the Lions.
Nice, the Wizard of Stu.
That's right.
Texans versus the Jaguars, and Stu's going to do it while I try and get my voice back.
Okay, really, Fitzpatrick had 6 touchdowns after I pick him up and put him on my bench. Oh my God, if I put him in now, he'll revert to the sorry-ass quarterback he really is. Poor Blake Bortles is going to be running around screaming for his life in this one. It shouldn't be close. I'm taking the Texans.
The object of war is not to die for your country, but to make the other bastard die for his. And J.J. Watt seems to understand this concept as he's out there killing bastard offensive linemen and quarterbacks each week. Last week, he continued his MVP-like season with 2 sacks and his 3rd touchdown, offensive touchdown, his 5th touchdown overall.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, as you talked about, commanded the air with 6 touchdowns. And did you see his kid? His kid can do math like a calculator.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was great. It was a great little clip. His son,
guy's a genius.
His son multiplied like 93 by 97 in his head, and his son is like 8. Give me the Texans.
Okay. I'm going to give you the Texans. Bills Broncos. Notice how Brady gets Denver home while Miami and Buffalo have to travel to Denver. I love the NFL. Anyways, the Bills have a decent enough defense to stay in this for a while. And then Peyton will blah, 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 insert your cliches here. Watkins is disappointing, and the pass game isn't much of a threat against Denver. You got to go with the Broncos here to keep pace with trying to get home field advantage throughout.
The future battle on the ground will be preceded by the battle in the air. This will determine which of the contestants has to suffer operational and tactical disadvantages. What that means is Peyton Manning's going to come out slinging it early, and unless the Bills win the battle of the trenches and can stop him from getting an early lead, they're going to get a big dose of the ground battle led by C.J. Anderson, and the Broncos will finish them off. Yeah. I love the Bills' defensive line, but I don't love the rest of the Bills. And Watkins has been dealing with some injury issues, so that has limited them. And he's also dealing with some QB issues, to be perfectly frank.
He's also on my fantasy team, which is why he's really struggling.
Which will definitely kill you off. Chiefs versus the Cards. And you have my wife calling on the phone right now.
Wow.
And 2 playoff caliber teams coming off of bad losses. He who is prudent lies in wait for the enemy who is not and will be victorious. I like the Chiefs in this game because I think Andy Reid is the better coach, and I think that he is going to manage the game to put the ball in Drew Stanton's hands, force him to throw, while reducing what his offense has to do by relying on Jamal Charles and the ground game. So I like the Chiefs in this one. I'm pulling an upset, I think, here.
The Cards are dropping like a stone, but they should get a win at home here. The Chiefs' strength is running, which I think the Cards can bottle up Charles and make Alex throw the ball, which is not the strength of Kansas City. They are certainly not the passing team that they should be, and Oakland proved that out. Oakland beat Kansas City here. I'm going to take the Cardinals for the last time this season. If they lose here, I think they're not even going to make the playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seahawks versus Eagles. Do it for me, Stu.
Sure. How in the world can I take Sanchez
That's
here?
That's not what I wanted you to do for me. I wanted you to do it for me.
Bird fight!
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go back.
Now, go ahead.
How in the world can I take Sanchez here? I can't. The Seahawks, Philly has beaten 2 teams with winning records this season. Seattle has had better wins against the better teams. I don't love the road pick here. I don't love the Seahawks on the road if you watch this show more than once. But I'm taking the Seahawks here to beat the Eagles.
It is even better to act quickly and err than to hesitate until the time for action is past. And boy, do the Eagles act quickly, especially on Thanksgiving, where it seemed like they had the ball the entire game and they would go down, score a touchdown, and then accidentally Dallas would kick off to them, it seemed. I thought the rest would pick up on that after 2 or 3 times, but they did.
It's like the old street game.
But I do think it's very
losers kick.
Winners get the ball. But I think the Eagles are likely to err multiple times in this game, with Sanchez going against a much tougher secondary and a much tougher defense. I'm with you. It's not as easy a pick because it's in Philadelphia, but I like the Seahawks in this one.
All right. Niners-Raiders.
Niners-Raiders. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. And Harbaugh is in the let's get violent now because we need it mode.
Yeah.
The loss to the Seahawks hurt them badly. His relationship in San Francisco appears to be crumbling. I have Jet fan friends who are actively going, I'm glad we lost because I think we'll get Harbaugh now, which is really bizarre to me. So I think the 49ers come out and execute a violent plan now against a Raiders team that gave up 52 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fox TV is just saying, oh, God, we got to send a broadcast team out to this one again after last Sunday's Raiders debacle. I wouldn't want to be the cameraman in that one. I don't even think this is close. It shouldn't even be broadcast. It should be maybe rerun late night on PIX after a Honeymooners episode. I'm taking the 49ers.
See, that's the perfect game to be the cameraman because you start going to the Raiders cheerleaders. You get those crazy guys in the black hole. You have some fun with it at that point.
Well, if they're like Jet fans, they're going to sell their tickets to the freaking 49ers fans, and they won't be there.
Pats versus Chargers.
Yes.
Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. And Bill Belichick does a really good job of being dark and impenetrable. No, I'm serious. When you look at this game, it seems to me that the Pats are unlikely to lose 2 in a row. I was impressed by Brady's fire, and he was, for a guy that has a lot of accomplishments and a supermodel wife, he was fired up about losing last week. Belichick's going to be fired up to plan for the Chargers, and the Chargers got away with one with a pass interference call in the end zone. It was a legitimate call, but they squeaked one out. Give me the Pats.
The Sandys haven't beaten anybody this year for the most part, and they face a Brady who says fuck on national television when he loses. Chargers started the season on fire, very strong. Rivers was playing well, but they're fading. Although he had a good game the other day, stats-wise, he didn't have a good game. Pats will be angry, and I think they're going to annihilate the Bolts here.
All right. And we finish up with the Falcons versus the Packers.
We do.
And what the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. And Aaron Rodgers made it look easy. We talked about him being possibly the most accurate quarterback. We had a little, comments debate going there, which was nice. And the ease with which he rolls out and flicks a ball over Ninkovich to hit a running back out in the flat. The ease at which they a couple of times isolated Ninkovich, including on what's his name? 18. Help me out. Cobb. On one play call. When you see Rob Ninkovich turning and running his ass off to try and keep up with Randall Cobb, and you got Aaron Rodgers back there throwing the ball, you're doomed.
Yeah.
So I like what the Packers did, and I like that they did it easy, and they're at home against a bad Falcons team. Give me the Pack.
Well, actually, it's the Packers at Atlanta, from what I understand. You might have written that down wrong.
I might have written that one down wrong, too.
It's a Monday night blowout nonetheless. The Packers are playing like champs, and they face a Falcons team that hasn't beaten them in the last 3 tries. Rodgers should pick this team apart, while the defense just does enough to keep Atlanta down. They don't have to worry about Atlanta's running game, because it's really not that existent. Steven Jackson is a non-factor this year.
Past his prime.
Want to know why? He's on my fantasy team. They're one-dimensional on offense, and the Packers should capitalize on the mistakes that Matt Ryan will make in this game. Packers in a sleeper. Monday night's going to be an ugly night for Atlanta fans.
Speaking of men who are past their prime, I'm Steve Brown.
I'm Stu Pace. Thanks for watching Electric Football. Comment down there and we'll answer you.
Subscribe, comment. We'd like to engage with the audience.
See you next week. Go Dolphins.
Here comes the hand, folks.